You have just entered The Royal Access, a show for believers who are ready to walk boldly in their faith by choosing Christ over culture. Journey with us each week as I connect with guests who share that their success is found in having Jesus as their source. Welcome everyone to our second episode of The Royal Access in this season. I am super excited for my first guest, which is Darea, and we're going to dive into the conversation. And as I mentioned last week, this whole season we are talking to game changers, believers who have chosen the path of walking with God. And sometimes that path is not always easy. So as you know, this season is talking about the realities of choosing Christ over culture. And so every guest that we'll have over the next few weeks, I feel like they have exemplified that in some way. And that's why they're with me today for us to talk more about it. All right. So today I am hanging out with Darea. I am so glad to have you with me. I think I started following you probably, is it a year now? If not a year. Probably, it was before your beauty videos though. You used to have videos where you used to be in your car and talking about different things, just about in Nassau in general. And I was like, I love this girl personality. Who is she? And then it started to blow up a lot on TikTok after that. And it was just like, it was seeing the beauty videos and just seeing how your brand expanded. And so I found out that you're Catherine's sister. I know Catherine really well, I'm sure. But
that's how I know you too. Yes, that's how I discovered you.
And so one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was, when was it that you decided to have a relationship with God? Some of us in the Bahamas, we grew up in the faith, or, for me, I grew up in the faith, but I wouldn't say it was until I was an adult where I kind of took the relationship seriously. So when do you feel like for you was when you decided to walk with God?
Like you said, I grew up in the faith as well, but was I really in the faith though?
Was I?
Was I? But I would say about 3 years ago was when I really took it seriously. I was always in church, always my mother, my sisters, but personally, like my own relationship, I would say about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. What do you think made the shift for you to say, okay, I want to be serious about my relationship with God versus just growing up?
Heartbreak.
We here, girl.
Heartbreak. No, I mean, for real. Heartbreak and being in school. I needed help with school. And I realized that my mommy always told me that Yahweh could be whatever it is that you want him to be. And at that point, I needed him to be a professor. I needed him to be a healer because my heart was broken and my grades was down. And I needed help. So on my own, it wasn't working out. And the more I started to actually develop or search for a relationship with him, I felt comforted. I realized that I was lazy. He showed me a lot of things about myself. It wasn't that I couldn't learn. I just was procrastinating, or I was being slothful. I wasn't applying myself like I should. So he showed me things about myself. He didn't put smarts in me. He just showed me things about myself that I needed to change. And it just became a journey, and I just stuck to it.
I love that. I love that, when you were in your moment of, I'm overwhelmed, I needed guidance in terms of school, guidance in terms of heartbreak, and girl, I can relate to that. That you said, I need to turn to Christ, and I need to walk with him. And the heartbreak situation, you talked a little bit about the grades. How did he walk you through that heartbreak situation? Because I never thought about that in terms of it's not just that I don't have the intellect, it's just that I'm not applying. And so like you said, as you walk through that journey, God was able to show you this is what's going on. This is how you got here with these grades. And this is how I'm going to walk you out. So how did he walk you through the journey with the heartbreak?
I would say he taught me what love was a lot. I'm still teaching me because growing up, I feel as though I was someone that tried to please a whole lot. And in pleasing people, I thought that would automatically equal getting love back. So it was very transactional. And I really trusted that my personality or what I had to offer was sufficient. I always overextended a whole lot. So I feel as though in my journey of asking Yahweh, what is it? Why is it that I get into these cycles and patterns? He showed me this is why, but you don't have to do this to get that. You don't earn my love, and it's the same way you shouldn't have to earn other people's love. So, what you have is sufficient to offer. I just think he showed me my self-worth a whole lot. Before I had a very low self-esteem, and I said it a lot on my platform. And people wouldn't think so because, you do beauty, you do all these things, but it's the things you don't see. I had a very low self-esteem. I was very insecure, especially with my parents. And that's why I overcompensate in a lot of other areas. Like I would overextend myself for people just to have a space in a circle. But that's not what Yahweh calls me to be. And he showed me that, you're beautiful. You have so many gifts. You have so many talents that I gave you. And these are the things that you should be loved for, not what you could offer or the value you think you bring. So he taught me how to love myself and how I should be loved. I have a very romantic relationship, I would say, with Yahweh. Yeah.
And that's amazing. And I love that you said that just now, that you have a very romantic relationship, because when God directed me to rebrand the podcast and how I wanted to move the Royal Access forward, he talked to me about, I'm a hopeless romantic in terms of, I love love.
Cringy. I'm very corny.
Very cheesy. I love love. I love love stories. So I will watch reality shows about love. I will watch interviews where people, and I don't care how many times I hear a story about how did you meet? How did you meet? How did you meet? And when God was directing me with this season and taking it to the interview platform or getting to know people, he led me down that road of allowing people to share how they got connected to me and how they walk with me. And it was in a very romantic way. And the Bible talks about, too, our relationship with Christ. Marriages are a reflection of our relationship with Christ. Yep. But we focus so heavily on the practical of marriage and love and romance. But a lot of us don't focus heavily on what is that connection like when you come to God and you walk with him and he pursues you. Yep. And he loves you for who you are. What was that like when you met him? What was that like for him to walk through it? And that's what he said he wanted me to talk about, because it's a beautiful journey. And I think a lot more people need to understand what it means to have that intimate relationship with God, because a lot of us may grow up in the faith and like, I know God, but when you get to know him on the intimate level, as you said, it's romantic. Yeah, he shows you those things because, I think our attachment, if a human showed us those things, our loyalty and attachment will be to a human who may fail us, because humans make mistakes. But when it was, no, God told me that I'm people pleasing. God told me that I was trying to earn love. God told me that I was trying to be transactional. And so your allegiance and your loyalty is to your relationship with God, not to a human being. Mm-hmm. So that's so good that you were able to learn that. And heartbreak, like when you said heartbreak, I was like, that is my story. That is how
it's true.
that is how I got here of taking my relationship with God seriously. Because for me, and I don't know if it happened with you, I had a relationship where God was supposed to be. I had relationships of getting married, all of that. I idolized that over my relationship with God. And when what I was doing on my own account didn't lead to the outcome I wanted, I was like, oh God,
that'd be the first thing you say. Oh God, that's the first thing. Yeah.
I need you. And so did you leave the relationship because it was like too much, or did they leave and you felt like I did so much?
They left. They left. But the thing is, I always knew I wasn't supposed to be there. Like, Yahweh doesn't leave you blind, And it's just, I can't see, I'm blind. I chose not to see. I chose not to see because Yahweh speaks to me through dreams. I had dreams, countless, over and over. I saw the red flags, but I thought it was a circus. I thought, I just go, And the more I ignored his voice, the more I ignored his signs and everything he was showing me. The deeper the claws of the relationship got into me, the unhappier I was. But the more I saw the true person that I was dealing with. And we look at people, but it's really spirits and stuff behind it, anger issues and all these things. We just see a face, and it was a pretty face that I saw, but I wasn't seeing the things behind that face. And ultimately he told me leave, and I didn't. I was, I could build him, I could fix him, I got
project.
This. I could have done.
Build a bit.
And eventually this person was like, no, this isn't what I want. And I felt as though that was Yahweh too. I honestly felt that he's like, this girl is not gonna leave. She's stubborn, she hard-headed, so let me. So everything, I always had a positive outlook to say, this was Yahweh. You still did like I said, but I know this was you, because I wouldn't have left until it was too late.
Yeah.
No, it could have been worse. I could have been depressed. I could have possibly gotten pregnant. I could do so many things that happened, so I was still grateful for it, but yeah, he left. But God allows that to happen when we don't move.
For sure. I was sharing with a friend the other day about, she said, I shared the story a lot that I came out of a relationship 10 years ago, and it happened because I cheated. But I was sharing with her how it was probably a few years before that God told me like the relationship was over. And it was like a year in. Nothing was wrong. They did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. The relationship was fine. But I was in church one day and God was like, the season has ended. Like the purpose that I had you in each other's life for, it's over. Oh, no, what? No, I'm not going.
Why?
No, I'm not going. I was like, I'm not going. I'm not leaving. And I didn't leave the relationship. And we stayed together. Yeah, I was like, that's my man. That's your man. That's my man. And I was like, I'm not leaving. And 3 years later, I ended up in a situation where I kissed somebody else. He found out. There was betrayal, girl. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. There was betrayal. And so I know. And he left. Because I, betrayed his trust. But one of the things that the Holy Spirit was saying was, this was over from a year in, like in my timeline. But sometimes I'm so fixed on, I got to get married by 30. But one of the reasons I wanted to interview you today was because just from watching on the outside, and I'm sure your inner circle has been exposed to it more, that recently you've made moves where most people would say, girl, what you doing? This is a lot. But now you're heeding to when God is saying it's time, even if it's scary, even if it's unconventional, even if it's over, what somebody else would have done. So how did you get on that journey? You're now, I would say, internationally known. Yeah, internationally known. You blew up. Your media platform blew up over social media. Take us through like that journey of when you started. What led you to start, and then that road you took that most people would feel like is kind of unconventional, and just decide to.
Okay, so I started social media in 2020 when the pandemic first came because I got laid off my job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got laid off my job. I was still in school, and at that point, it still wasn't I'm going to take this seriously. I just, like you said, just doing it for fun, posted talking videos and stuff like that. And then after I got laid off, I was like, I have more free time. Mind you, I always wanted to do the, hey guys, welcome back to my, I always
welcome to my channel.
I always do that. But I was always scared because where we live, it's not conventional. It's not a traditional route. And I was, like I said, low confidence, low self-esteem. I just didn't think that what I had to offer would be sufficient for people to actually want to tune in. That was me. And you ever had something like a dream? I watched something earlier. It says when Yahweh has a dream for you, you can't just delete it because it's not yours. That's the dream he has for you. So I always had this desire. It kept pressing on me to say start. And I made every excuse. I'm like, oh, I don't have no equipment. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have a job. I live from NIB to NIB. I don't have nothing. Like life rough right now. I'm going out. This ain't the time to be, hey guys. Well, no, you need to be applying for jobs, sis. Not no hey guys.
This is not the hey guys season.
No, hey employer. Okay, see me. So I decided to just post a video. Easing into it, like just ease into it. I post a few videos, and from there, I started to fall in love with it. I always wanted to be a teacher. So this is how I was going to tie into it. I always wanted to be a teacher, but that dream changed. And I love makeup. I love art. I was always immersed in it in school. So when I saw TikTok came about, it was rebranded from Musical.ly. And people were on there teaching makeup and sharing their makeup tips and stuff like that. I was like, this is something I can do. It was a new platform. I hopped on it when it was still kind of new. So I felt like I got in a good time. And I really thought I could do well on it. So I started posting videos, and I wasn't getting the support as I wanted to, and I was getting frustrated with them. So I'm like, see me, see me. I what you doing stuff. Yeah, I've arrived. See me. But I wasn't consistent inside of it. And that's something else I tell people a lot. You can't expect people to know you or see you if you're not consistent. Like consistently showing up in their faces. The more I did it, the more the Bahamian, and I truly appreciate my Bahamian community. They showed up for me. They liked, they shared, they comment, they asked me to do things. And I just keep building and building and building from there until I was like, okay, I'm not making no money from this. Support is cool and all, but
those dollars.
dollar signs on my way ass, So I got a job. I went into tourism industry, but I was doing the same thing. I was doing social media. I was always good at it. And I did some freelance. I was there at the resort for 9 months. And then I blew up during that time. During that time, I was doing work full-time. I was doing content basically every day full-time. I was doing the gym. I was doing another page because I have 2 pages. Mm-hmm. And then I just felt the urge, I would say about 3 months before I left. Like, it's finished now. Like how you said, you got that. But first year, I was like 3 months before I quit. I was like, I felt this. Like, it's on the rest on me to say it's time. Like, it's time to make your next move. But I didn't want to hear that because I didn't like getting brand deals and having that direct deposit. Yeah, I love that company. Love that right there.
That's what I tell everybody when they say entrepreneurship, but ain't nothing like that deposit coming on the.
I felt like Jeff Bezos. I felt like Elon Musk. I felt rich. You couldn't tell me I wasn't rich. So when I started feeling that pressing, I talked to Mom about it. She was like, pray about it. And then I honestly hit it out the back of my mind. I was like, you know what? I could hold on for a little while longer. And I kept going for like 2 more months, and then I felt depressing again. I talked to my sister. She was like, you need to make an exit strategy. My sister's all about entrepreneurship. She would tell you leave your job today. She will say leave your job. And now I feel as though I started to get frustrated because I wasn't moving. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's something, frustration is, a lot of people say it's bad, but frustration is also a positive thing. It frustrates us into different seasons. I got frustrated. I was upset with my job. I was in the bathroom crying. I was like, this is ghetto. I hated it so much. Everything started going wrong on my job. Everything it was going through. Meetings after meetings, problems after problems, until I just was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I prayed. I fasted. And I know a lot of people want to hear that I heard a yes from Yahweh, but I never heard a yes. I never once heard a yes. And I talked to countless amount of people about it, and it was like, maybe you should wait. Those people who telling you, no, maybe you should wait, Dara, because, you have a good job. We're in a recession. People wish they had this job, and you want to be content creator. you want quit your job to make TikTok. That's what you want to do. And not to be a content creator. You want quit your job to make TikTok. That's what you want to. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Because at that point, I knew I'd fought so much relationships with brands. I was making basically twice my salary in just brand deals. Right. But it was never just about the money. I was honestly tired of my job. I knew there was more for me to do. I had a boss there who always tell you need to fly. Like, she always said, this place is too small for you, Darea. So I got frustrated. I talked to my parents and I quit my job. I left. I was happy. I was afraid though, because like I said, I never got a yes. I'm a very calculated person. I'm not risky or spontaneous. I need a plan. I need to see this is going to happen this month. But my sister was telling me that's not how it was always going to work. We're adults. Once you're with Yahweh, no matter what path you take, Yahweh's going to be with you. He's going to direct you where you should go. So if you stay on the job, you don't know, next 2 months he might give you a yes and say leave. If you go, you don't know what's going to happen. So, take the leap, take that quantum leap. And she empowered me, and I was like, you know what? I put in my resignation, and I take it back. And I put it in again.
Wait, you put it in and you took it back?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I put it in and I take it back on my boss too, even though she didn't tell me to go, because I was one of the best workers in my head. She was like, Dara, I don't know if I want to accept this. So she's like, let's just pray about it for another week. Let's pray about it. Took it back, put it back in again, because I felt the pressure. It was frustrating me so much I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. I felt like I had to do this, that, and a peace. I didn't have peace at all. And I was like, you know what? I don't want this opportunity to pass me. You're telling me to do this now. You're placing an urgency on it now, because for a reason. I did it, and that was like one of the best decisions I've ever made in my 23 years of living.
You're only 23.
Yeah. Only 23, guys. Yeah. That was the best decision I have ever made. I was afraid. I cried. I was worried if I would eat. I was scared, even though I know Yahweh is going to protect me. But there's still this human side of us that needs assurance, like assurance that I can see. Right. Like Yahweh wasn't giving me nothing. I said he didn't give me a yes. On my last day, I was like, Yahweh, if someone come up to me, I just need you to do this in 3 or something, I can't remember what I tell him. I just need someone, these words to be spoken to me 3 times. I put it in a fleece. Okay, Gideon, I will take that back. Listen to me. I was afraid. I was afraid that I made the wrong decision. I don't like making wrong. Right. Low-key a perfectionist. I don't like the idea of having to start over or redirect. I want to go one straight road, but that's not how life is. Life is it's not linear. Goes up and down. But that was the best decision I've ever made. I literally said it in the mirror this morning. I was like, that was the best. What did you take so long for? What were you worried about? It was the best.
And now you're doing brand deals over and over. And recently, how did that come about? Recently, a brand flew you out. You getting flued out.
It was with Lancome. I'm still shocked myself. Like, I am honestly still, when that email come in, I just sat there and I was like, oh my God. I was like, what happened? I was like, girl. And I was like, don't want me come.
People want to fly me out. Where was it?
It was right in Miami.
But
it was a brand event for a launch of a new skincare product. So they said they've been following my content. But I know that was Yahweh because I don't own a Lancome product. I don't. I couldn't say that there now.
No, love that.
Yeah, this is Scarab. I love that. I don't own one Lancome. I have never, ever integrated or promoted Lancome in my life.
Wow.
Ever. So when they sent me that email, I was shocked. I almost didn't feel like I was supposed to take it. It automatically felt guilt of, I don't know the reason, like, you don't deserve this, but I quickly hit that on my head. Yeah, because it comes. But exactly, this is the blessing.
Yes.
He sent this for me, just for me. But it was great. There was, I was the only person that came from out of Miami.
Right.
For it, so
you were the only one. Everybody, all the other influencers were based in Miami.
Yeah, and even after I told them, I'm like, I'm not from Miami. They was like, that's fine. We still want you to come. We want you to be here. So I was like, say less. Say less. I'm still in shock. Girl.
Say less. Now, one of the things that I do want people to realize that when we do take this path with God is that everybody's path is unique. And so sometimes I think when we try to look at other people's path and say, okay, well, let me do the same thing. And it's like, well, I don't have the same results. That's because that's not where God sent you to go.
No. That's something I had to learn to embrace me. Because you would be looking at, I was telling my mom this morning, you'd look at TikTok and this person telling you, I'm 19 with 26 cars and $1 million and I did this, you can do it too. But that's not me.
No.
I could get that doing my own thing. And I think social media, well, the world in general has changed a lot, where a lot of people aren't embracing their own identities or their own given purpose because the timelines, like you say, it's probably not fast enough or it doesn't look as razzle-dazzle as the other person. But I find that when we accept who we are, because I feel like I was someone that adopted a lot of people's identities or what they do because I see it moving fast for them. But that's their thing. You're not going to move fast in someone else's lane. You're not. That
is like, if you're taking, that's a mic drop. Like, you're not going to move fast. Write it down. You're not going to move fast in anybody else's lane. The reason why I like that is because some people may look at you and think, like when I said you're 23, like she's moving fast when it comes to this TikTok journey, but you're moving fast in the lane that God directed you to.
I was made for this.
You were made for it.
Yeah.
You were made for it. And when we get in alignment with what God has told us to do and where he's told us to go, then that moves. And it's like me with relationships, like you talked about relationship. Like, if I was thinking, like, if this has to happen before 30, if that's not the lane I have for you, I don't care how you stay, push, cry, do.
Lane close. Close.
I don't care. He's like, I don't care. And that is the thing about, choosing Christ over everything else the world is doing. And even though what you're doing now is popular in the world, what you're doing is crafted for you. It's what God called you to do in this season. And that's why you're seeing, so many blessings. But we see the blessings. What were some hard moments in this journey of walking it out with God or something? Like, did you ever have a moment, like, I know you say this is the best decision I made, but did you ever have a moment of like, this is hard, or this is something that I didn't expect to deal with when it comes to this?
Yes. Well, I kind of did expect it, but just how you say it's in the world, being saved and doing this job is very hard. And my mom always tells me you have to be grounded when you immerse in social media like this, because my life is based on numbers. It's based on trends. Well, my career right now, numbers, trends, what's popular, what's hype. And most time what's popular and trending and hype is not something that Yahweh is proud of or want his children to be indulging in. So there were times when I felt myself staggering, wavering, because it's like you getting pulled by, not that I want to, but it's your job. But Yahweh gave me this. But to stay relevant, I have to do this. It was like a sway, always a sway, and I was always scared. Even at my brand event that I was at, I came back and I was telling my friend, I was like, I don't know if this will be the end game, because I don't ever want to lose myself in this world. I don't want to. So if this isn't what Yahweh has for me, then I would leave. But I think that the mental battle, the spiritual battle, choosing my salvation over what is popular, while being immersed in what is popular, is very, very hard. There's a constant pull, especially in the beauty industry. It's not like I'm just a content creator. I'm an influencer, which is completely different. And the other thing would probably be not allowing myself to feel behind, because like I said, my stuff is very numbers driven. So 1 week you're up and it's like, oh, engagement is good. And if you know me, I all about engagement. Like I love when those numbers, I like seeing the point K. I love that.
I need to say, I love that.
There's
a couple numbers.
Yes, engagement is a big thing for me. So 1 week you're up and you're like, oh, this dopamine, I feel the serotonin from all this good engagement. The next week it's like, what if you're low? 2,000 or 1,000 and you're not pushing the numbers that you want. And that's how brands reach out. This is my living. So in a way, you're now tying your value or your opportunities and blessings to numbers. So it kind of messes with your mental health in a way, because it's like, my number's down, I'm not growing, my inbox dry. Jeepers, I stopped. This makes no sense. This don't make no sense. And I've had those groups say, this don't make no sense. Yes,
saying that
so,
the
comparison, the learning how to separate my value and myself from what I do is something I had to learn, and I'm constantly learning. Like I had to learn to detach myself from the outcomes of my videos, because you would tie yourself. I had moments where I'm like, I don't want to post, I don't want to do nothing because everything is flopping, and that's not. You can't ask Yahweh to, take this big leap, and then when hard times come, you give up. But in that world, girl, it's one thing to be on someone's job and things aren't going well. That's not your problem. I ain't my problem. I get paid at the end of the day. I clock it out.
My money there at the end of the month. If your business is going through ups and downs, I'm sorry about that.
Me, what I do is my business, so I have to care if the numbers ain't numbering like they should. So those are probably the biggest two things.
I love those. And you're so insightful. I love it. No, because I think that people, and I love the message you shared, and I hope there's a lot of people who watch this, especially young people, who look at influencers and say, I want to do that, because I think you have the right idea. Like, I would walk, when you said I came from the brand deal, but I would walk away from everything if whenever it's no longer what God has me to do. And then how you said, I have to consistently make sure that I'm not tying my value to what I do, because your value comes from Christ. Yeah. And you knowing your past, knowing that you're coming from a place where I did try to people please, I did try to do transactional love. Yes. The enemy will try to find different loopholes, like, okay, if I can't get her on transaction in romantic relationships, I'll get her with the career. And so it's being mindful of that. But I'm glad that you have that circle. You mentioned a lot in this interview, your mom and your sister.
Yes.
And so I think it's important for us as believers, when we're taking a path of walking with Christ and doing things that are not conventional, people saying, you're leaving your job for TikTok. For TikTok, stupid. Or you have those seasons where it goes up and down because it's unpredictable, because it's a trend. Yep. Like a few years ago, like you taught me something just now too, when you were saying TikTok was Musical.ly. Is that what happened? It was rebranded from Musical.ly? Mm-hmm. The reason why I want to come back to that point is because I feel like sometimes we don't like to pivot or take another path or take another journey or do something different, because we're like, well, that's scary or that's new, or people are going to say that I'm flip-floppy or I'm not doing things like how people normally do. But when you're walking with Christ, I got to be ready to move when he says I got to move. There's a TikTok video where this guy, where he's using this sound where he say, where you going? I don't know.
Yeah.
What you going to do when you get there?
I gonna get there.
And he was saying, and his text over it is, that's what a relationship with God is like. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm moving, but he's leading. And so just how they were able to rebrand from, okay, Musical.ly not working, we're going to do TikTok, and now TikTok is a success. I think that that's how it operates with God. Like, sometimes we have to take this path that doesn't always make sense, that may seem scary, and it doesn't. And even when it has high moments like getting flew out to Miami, it also has those moments where I have to remain grounded. I have to trust God. I have to make sure that I'm not attaching my value to this, because just because you took one step in the direction of seeing success with God, the enemy ain't about to leave us alone.
For sure. Keep walking.
He's not about to leave us alone. So I think that people have to understand in everything that even when I take a walk with God, it's going to have those moments where it's going to be hard, but the point is that I'm supposed to stay connected to him. And so I think what we have to realize is the same God that gave you the creativity, that gave you the endurance to push forward, and the circle that you have yourself surrounded by is the same God that is going to fuel us to do what he's called us to do. So I want to say thanks so much.
You're welcome.
For coming today. I feel like learning about your story was it was exactly what I needed, and I think it's exactly what our audience needs when we're thinking about, like, how do I, choose the path of choosing Christ over culture, and what are the true realities, the ups and downs, the good, the bad, everything. So thank you again, Darea.
So welcome.
And I can't wait to see you guys next week.